Welcome to the WSUS Session 3 session. For this session, we are going to access WSUS. That's the last roll at the bottom. And we're going to open the interface, the WSUS interface, and we are going to configure WSUS. We want to look at options because under options, you are able to configure the settings for the WSUS server. So let's take a look at the options. Our first option says update source and proxy server. So for this option, we're going to choose whether the server that we have installed WSUS is going to be used to synchronize updates from the Microsoft Update site, or whether we're going to synchronize from an upstream server, which in this case would be the Windows Server Update Services. So let's open that. We can see here that the very first option and the default option is to synchronize from the Microsoft Update site. Now, when you configure WSUS, one of the first things that you want to do is to synchronize from the Microsoft Update site, because the Microsoft Update site is the source from which you're getting the updates. So you're going to configure your internal server to synchronize with the Microsoft Update site. After you have done that, you might want to configure another server on your network to synchronize from your local server. In that case, this server would be the downstream server. So you will choose this option here, synchronize from another Windows Server Update Services server. So let's go through that again. If we choose the first option, it means that the updates are going to come down to the server that we have installed WSUS on. If we choose the second option, it means that you already have a WSUS internal server in your organization configured, and this second server that you're now configuring will synchronize updates from that local server. You need to enter the server's name. This is a downstream server we are referring to right now. And you see you have the port number. You're going to use the secure sockets layer when you're synchronizing update information. And you also have to make sure that if you're using SSS, that the upstream server is configured to also support SSL. You also have a choice of choosing the server to be a replica of the upstream server. Remember, in WSUS session 1, we discussed replica server, and we said that the replica server is an exact replica of the second server. So you have one server, and that server has the updates, and that server also will approve the updates. The second server now will also get the updates and the approval from the first server without actually going to the update Microsoft server on your network. Then if you are using a proxy server, let's click on proxy server. If your internet access is going through a proxy server, then before you start, you need to know the proxy server name, and if there are credentials that you need to put in to access the proxy server, you need to have them ready so you can put them here in the username space. You also have to put the domain and the password. The next one we want to look at, the next option, is products and classification. On the products and classification, you can see here There are some Microsoft products that are already ticked off by default. So you are actually choosing the products for which you want to synchronize updates. For example, you might not have some of these products within your organization. So you simply deselect the products that you don't have and select the products that you have. You don't necessarily need all these products. You don't need Exchange Server. You don't need lots of them. So you choose the products that you have. You can also specify according to classification. We click on the classification tab. We can see that by default, there are three classifications that come up. You have the critical updates, you have the definition updates, and you have the security updates. If you need to specify your updates, if you need to specify other updates, you can also click, for example, on drivers or tools or service packs, and they will also be included or added in. Next option we want to look at is update files and languages. For the first section here, you can click to store update files locally on the server. It means that when you have your update files, you're going to say, download update files to this server only when updates are approved. So you can choose to do that. You can choose only to download the files when they are approved. You also have the choice here of downloading Express installation files. And the difference between the Express installation files and the ordinary update files will be that Express files provide a faster download and installation on computers. But I need you to remember that those Express files are larger and will increase download time. So look out for a question like that on your exam. You also have the option to download files from Microsoft Update and do not download from the upstream. Remember we talked about that. If you download files from Microsoft Update, it means that you're downloading files from the internet from Microsoft's site. So you will say do not download from the upstream. The upstream can be dependent on what server is being downloaded from. The server that you are downloading from is usually called the upstream server. And the server where information is being downloaded to is called the downstream server. Let's look at another option, automatic approval. For automatic approvals, you already have a default automatic approval rule. So you can create new rules of your own, but if you don't, you will still get updates based on your automatic approval rule. The updates that come down will still be approved based on this rule. Let's edit this rule and see what the rule says. For this rule, you can select when an update is in a specific classification. Remember your classification will be your critical updates that we looked at just now. You can also choose updates to approve when the update is in a specific product, or you can set a deadline for the update. So this is your default rule, and you can click all of them, or you can just choose one. If we were to choose when an update is in a specific classification, you have the critical updates. See, these are the default ones, critical and security updates. And you can choose other ones if you want to include other ones. And you can approve the updates for all computers. Or you could just approve the updates for unassigned computers or servers. If you look to the left here, you will see the computer node. You can expand it. And we have to cancel this to expand it. Let's cancel here a moment. so that we can expand the computer modes. And within this computer mode, you see all computers. And you see a node called on assigned computers. That simply means that when you configure WSUS and you configure the client computers to access your local WSUS server, all of those client computers will automatically appear in unassigned computers. So that's what we mean when we talk about unassigned computers for the automatic approval. You can also do your own rule by clicking on new rule, and you can select the one that you want to use, whether it be the first one, classification, a specific product, or a deadline for the approval. So you have choices there that you can make. You also have your option here called synchronization schedule, and you can schedule when the uploads will come down. You can do it manually or you can do it automatically. You can say when your first synchronization is, and you can say how many synchronizations you want to occur per day. Let's go to the next option, computers. Now we're going to look at the computer option in session 4 of WSUS because we want to look and see how computers will get their updates. Now let's just do a quick preview of that. Computers will get their updates based on group assignment in the group policy, or if you use your interface here, you're going to actually have to create groups. So you can assign computers with the WSUS interface. You can assign computers to groups, or you can do it in group policy. And for WSUS session 4, we're going to see how we assign groups based on the interface, the WSUS interface, and on the group policy. We'll also be looking at what we refer to as client-side targeting and server-side targeting. This is the end of session 3. Thank you for listening.